A woman lost $200,000 trying to flip houses in Chicago, working with a company called iFlip Chicago. This company is now getting called a Ponzi scheme. Roll a clip.
A home flipping business in Chicago that's accused of ruining lives and stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from everyday people who just wanted to build some generational wealth.
We have no idea where the money is.
How much are we talking about here?
I have lost $169,000.
We are at risk of losing over $200,000.
I'm sorry.
I'll break down exactly what happened. So if you watch HGTV, you know it's all about home flipping and it looks easy. It looks like it's something very profitable. So for months, we've been looking into a company called iFlip Chicago, and they do two things. They have a boot camp where they claim to teach you exactly everything you need to know to flip a home. Then they also offer to partner with first-time investors who have a little bit of money and are ready to invest in their own flip. But now two new lawsuits accuse iFlip Chicago of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars and essentially running a real estate Ponzi scheme.
Did you catch the first red flag? There were two: the 12-week boot camp and the joint venture partnership. You see, if I have a guaranteed way on how to make money, the last thing I'm gonna do is sell that information to help you become my competition in Chicago. I'm also not gonna do a joint venture with you because I don't know you. And wouldn't it make more sense if I made all of the money if I'm already making a lot of money? Why would I use your money in a joint venture where I have to split the profit with you? Oftentimes, the only reason people do joint ventures is so they can share the risk and also share the cost of doing business. But if I'm already a successful business teaching people how to do what I do, there's no reason for me to want to share the cost of flipping a house when I can just put up all the money and keep all of the profits.
A lot of different types of people signed up for iFlip Chicago. One of them was an emergency room doctor. Her name was Amira Hamid, and she invested almost $200,000 with iFlip. But she says she had good reason to trust them.
My name is Ramo Bay, and it's my wife,
Michelle Nicole Bay.
That's Amira's own cousin, Michelle Bay.
Yeah, and who can't trust family?
I trust my friends over my family, and I don't have any issues with anybody in my family. But outside of my parents and siblings, I always remember, you choose your friends, you don't choose your family.
So Michelle and her husband Ramo Bay run iFlip Chicago, and for $800, you can sign up for a boot camp with them. Or if you have a little money to invest, you can partner with iFlip Chicago and do a flip together. That's what a lot of people did. And this company, they claim to offer everything you need to get started. So they give you access to a lender who can give you the money to buy and rehab the home. They identify the home, the perfect home for you to buy and flip. And then they also have a team of contractors that they claim to work with who can help you remodel the home. Finally, they offer to sell the home for you once everything is complete. And the only thing they do is they take 30% of the total profit.
But the problem is, if you watch a little HGTV, you will know that every flip doesn't make money. Sometimes they lose money. So iFlip Chicago is picking the houses using their contractors, but if the houses don't make money, the only people that lose money is you. So it doesn't seem like a joint venture to me because iFlip is not taking on any risk.
You don't have to worry about any of this stuff because they have all of these relationships.
Now, iFlip and Ramo posted a lot of stuff online about these flips, about successful projects they were doing. So a lot of people who saw this thought it was a good idea.
if you're interested in actually learning how to flip homes, if you want to learn how to do this for real, iFlip Chicago Boot Camps is 100% hands-on.
The problem with this is people always only talk about the wins. They never talk about the losses. Like, I've made a significant amount of money in crypto, but I've also lost 10,000 in crypto. And I talk about it in this video. I've also lost money in Voyager Digital when they went bankrupt. But this is not common. When I go on social media, I always see people I know who sports bet posting their winning tickets. but they never post all of their losing ones.
There are even a few realtors who signed up because they saw what Ramo Bey and iFlip were doing online, and they thought maybe they could learn something.
There were a lot of people who had successfully done flips with him.
One of those realtors is Tatiana Barnett, and she'd actually flipped some properties in Indiana, but she wanted somebody with more experience to help her with her next project. So here's what happened next. Both Tatiana and Amira were found properties that iFlip thought would be a good fit for them. They were distressed homes on the south side of Chicago. These two homes in particular were in the Woodlawn area. And as you'll see, a lot of the iFlip properties that are in bad condition right now are also in Woodlawn. So after finding the perfect homes for these two women, iFlip then wanted them to sign up for a commercial mortgage, which is a really short-term mortgage with high interest rates. And they were gonna get this mortgage and use the money to buy part of the home and also fund the rest of the renovation. But as a condition of getting the mortgage, they had to have Ramo Bey, the owner of iFlip, sign on to their loans. But they were told that's not very unusual.
It's not something that's unheard of if you don't have a track record of doing, fix and flips with lenders.
My question to her would be, did you try to get the lending money yourself first? This is a lot of money to just trust someone on the internet with, even if they had a proven track record. I know me personally, I know several YouTubers that I thought were good people, but come to find out, months later, they're scammers.
Gotcha, bitch!
Truth is, decent to good scammers know how to make everything look legit.
A part of the iFlip package, and one of the reasons a lot of people invest is because they offer full service. So everything from finding the property, getting the lending, and even in this case, giving you a real estate attorney that you can use to review documents as you're going along the iFlip process.
Sorry guys, but that's another red flag. The reason when you're about to get married and you want your fiance to sign a prenup, the proper way to do it is each person should have their own lawyer, because the lawyer's job is to do what's in the best interest of their client. But how can they do what's in the best interest of their client if they're representing two clients, husband and wife? Truth is, they can't. So iFlip offered these victims to use their lawyer, and he did what was in the best interest of iFlip and not them.
So by this point, iFlip has identified two homes for the women to buy and invest in, and the women are set up to get funding, and all that's left to do is close on the properties and sign a ton of paperwork. But this is a critical point, and this is where they say everything went wrong. So at closing, they had to sign hundreds of pages of documents. It was a really long process. But there were 4 sentences buried in these documents that really came back to bite them in the, There was this really strange cross-collateralization clause in the loans that meant if Ramo was late on any of his loans, the lender would charge what Ramo owed to the loans held by other iFlip participants like Amira and Tatiana.
The loans then went on to fail. They were never written to succeed. They were predatory loans.
This was never about flipping property. This was about taking loans out to pay a debt. That didn't belong to us.
And Ramo had several past due balances.
Hold up, you may be wondering, why would anyone sign an agreement like that? This must be their fault. But both women had hired an attorney that was supposed to look out for them and look out for language like this.
This attorney was looking out for the best interests of iFlip Chicago. This also all could have been avoided if the woman went out and got their own funding or got their own attorneys. They could have simply got a second opinion from another lawyer.
But here's the thing, that attorney, he was recommended by iFlip. And Tatiana says he never even showed up at her closing, while Amira says he never disclosed any of this cross-collateral language. Now, he's also being sued along with iFlip. Now, this is the part the lawyers are calling a Ponzi scheme. You can see on the women's loan statements that they're being charged interest for other loans that don't belong to them. There are thousands of dollars in these cross-interest charges, and they were all transferred from loans that Ramo was late on. Now, time eventually ran out on these short-term loans, and it left people in a really bad spot. We found at least 7 iFlip properties are in foreclosure right now, including Tatiana's. A lot of these homes have been gutted and they're unlivable, they're vacant, and they've been that way for a long time because iFlip participants could never get the money from their loans to actually fund the renovation or rehab. Now these unfinished homes are just an eyesore in the South Chicago communities where they are. And again, a lot of them are in the Woodlawn neighborhood.
It's an eyesore. I hope something gets to be done.
It's disgusting that this is 2 years later and we have no answer. We have more questions than answers.
Now, we ran this story last week.
Bad business model or a Ponzi scheme? That's what several people who invested money with a popular Chicago home flipping business are asking themselves tonight.
And right before it aired, we actually heard from iFlip's owner, Ramo Bey. And he says he's actually a victim in all of this too. He says that language that allowed his loan payments to go to other accounts wasn't disclosed to him. And now he says he's going to go after the lender that is causing all of this damage. Now, it's important to note that we know from emails Ramo had at least 20 loans with this lender, and he also had his own real estate attorney helping him with iFlip.
Yeah, we don't believe him. His home flipping business continued to not make money, which is why he continued to lose money. Needed to start selling a boot camp and doing joint ventures to continue to try and make money on flipping houses. But it just got worse and worse, and unfortunately, I doubt they will get their money back. And the story gets worse because just a few days ago, more people came out saying that they got scammed. Roll that clip.
iFlip Chicago.
Now, they're accused of luring inexperienced investors into predatory loans, resulting in bankruptcies and a slew of foreclosures across the Woodlawn area. And since our first story aired last month, more alleged victims have contacted PJ Randhawa, showing us the supposed scheme may have an even bigger impact than we first thought.
They promised a path to financial freedom, a shot at building generational wealth.
Make an investment and leave a legacy for your children and your children's children.
Ramo and Michelle Bey run iFlip Chicago, and if you have a little bit of money to invest, they claim to provide everything else you need to successfully flip a home, from the contractors to the funding.
We have over $30 million worth of rehab funding.
But according to 2 lawsuits, Ramo Bey allegedly lured inexperienced investors into signing up for predatory loans with him. The loans were cross-collateralized, meaning if Ramo fell behind on any other loans in his name, the iFlip investors he recruited would be responsible for paying his debt. As a result, nearly a dozen investors tell NBC5 Response they couldn't access the loan money they needed to finish their flips.
It's like getting in bed with the devil.
Every day I came in the game when I lost.
With the interest on their loans accumulating, these investors say they had no choice but to dip into their own funds to start renovating their properties. But there was another challenge.
It's falling apart.
You feel like this will snap at some point?
It's gonna snap.
The investors say the poor quality of work done by iFlip's contractors led each home to fail multiple city inspections.
Basically, everything that took place in our home was against the city code.
It's raining in the room.
So almost all of the work completed had to be torn out and redone.
So I just took this drywall down. This is what's behind the wall.
I'm over $100,000 into this property.
Tiffany Brown was ultimately able to complete the renovation on her own, but Deshaun Carr and Miranda Booker's properties ended up in foreclosure.
It's sitting here because nothing else could be done. Why? Because all of our funds had run out.
So yeah, he got a lot of people with this, and it's unfortunate that he's scamming his own people. That's what the saddest part about this is. He's taking their money, innocent, hardworking people that look just like him.
In a statement to NBC5 Response last month, Ramos said he and his clients were a victim of predatory lending and that language in the loans was never disclosed or explained at closing. But emails and documents obtained by NBC5 Response show Ramos signed up more than 20 iFlip investors for these loans, and he was repeatedly told his debts were being tacked on to other investors' loans. The lawsuits offer a possible motive for all of this. They accuse him of conspiring with the lender, Envision Funding, to profit off the pricey loan extension fees many investors paid to avoid defaulting on their loans.
I paid $95,000.
The extensions and everything was another $30,000.
Ramo denies that allegation, but his denials don't explain this. On Deshaun's closing paperwork from 2021, Ramo lists himself as a loan officer for Envision Funding.
He created a system that he can make money through the whole process.
Which is exactly what I thought. He probably gets a kickback on referring them to the realtor, maybe a kickback from the contractors who weren't licensed and did shady contract work, and he gets a kickback for being a loan officer.
Without putting no money up and without no risk.
It's another strand of a web that has led more than a dozen iFlip investors into foreclosure.
This ain't just a bad situation. This was a scheme.
So yeah, that's the update. And earlier I mentioned how I lost $10,000 in crypto. If you want to find out what I learned, check this video out.